Today we're going to talk about variables, expressions, equations. This is sort of a pre-algebra review. I'm going to give you a few minutes and I want you to list any word or phrase in a word problem that would indicate to you that you need to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. All right, let me just get you started. What do you call the answer to an addition problem? A sum. What do you call the answer to a subtraction problem? A difference. What do you call the answer to a multiplication problem? A product. And what do you call the answer to a division problem?
Quotient.
A quotient. Alright, any word or phrase that tells you to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Let's see how many you can think of. Okay, so these are the words that we've come up with that mean to add and subtract and then multiply and divide. Are there any on here that we didn't use? We didn't say deposit because if we make a deposit into our savings or checking account, we add, right? And just like that, someone said you could withdraw from subtraction. I don't think we use the word deduct. I don't think we use the word change. And by that, it would be if the temperature, the high temperature today is 92, the low this morning was 70, what's the change? And you use change in percent of, excuse me, percent of increase and percent of decrease problems. And so we're not going to add that to our subtraction list. I think we did everything else on those. Alright, and then multiply and divide. We didn't do ratio, did we? If I said what's the ratio of number of girls to number of boys in this class, would we not use a fraction? And a fraction means what? Division. Okay. Fraction is just a way to write a division problem. So those are some words and phrases that we would use, excuse me, in a word problem to mean add, subtract, multiply, and divide. As you well know, I'm sure a variable is a placeholder for an unknown. Why do we need algebra anyway? Why can't we just do plain old math? Well, there's a lot of unknowns in the world, right? I mean, there's scientists working all the time trying to figure out how to cure this and do that, better things, or security, and all those kinds of things. And so there are always variables. There's always something we're looking for, and something stands in the place of that, and that is a variable. And what is the difference between an algebraic expression and an algebraic equation? What's the difference between any kind of expression and equation? Just one thing.
One has a variable maybe?
They can both have a variable. If they're algebraic, they have a variable.
One has an answer.
Why does an equation get an answer? Because what does it have that an expression does not? Why can you solve an equation but you just plug into an expression? Because it's got an equal sign. So an expression doesn't have an equal sign. An expression has numbers and variables separated by arithmetic operations, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But an equation is going to have an equal sign like you said so that we could solve them. Now, most all equations, I could almost just say, probably all equations you guys have studied so far, the variable's been to the first power and you've gotten one answer. Have you solved any quadratic equations where the x was squared and you got two answers? That's one thing we'll add in Algebra 1, different from pre-algebra, okay? Alright, let's look in our textbooks at example 1 and lesson 1.2. So if we look on page 11, we see a man on a bike. It says, suppose that a rental shop charges an $8 fee plus $3 per hour to rent a bike. The amount charged for the different times is shown in the following table. So for 1 hour, there's the $8 fee plus $3 times 1 hour was a total of how many dollars? Let's see if y'all are looking where I'm looking. 11. And then for 2 hours, it was the $8 fee plus 3 times 2 would be a total of $14 and so forth. So, all right, let me ask you a question, algebraic question. which one is the fixed cost and which one is the variable cost? Which one's fixed?
$8.
$8 is not going to change. No matter how long you keep the bike, you're going to pay $8. And so what do I mean by variable cost? The $3 is a variable cost. The variable in that case means it's changing, right? However many hours the bike is kept, the more that the bike would cost or the rental would cost. So on page 12, the top of the page, example 1, make a table to show the value for 6, 8, and 12 hours. And if you notice in the table, all they did was plug in 6, 8, and 12, and got the answers 26, 32, or 44. So if my expression instead was 4, excuse me. (4m minus 10). And I asked you to make a table when m was 8, 9, 10, and 11. Do that on your paper so that you can come up. So we're going to set up a table, and it can be vertical or horizontal. Doesn't matter. Alright, so if I plug 4 times 8 is minus 10 is 4 times 9 is minus 10 is 4 times 10 is minus 10 is 4 times 11 is minus 10 is okay, and the same thing would be true here also, right? That's totally up to you whether you like horizontal or vertical. Alright, now, two algebraic expressions separated by the equal sign is called an equation. Alright, so this is now on the bottom of page 12. And that example says at City Park you can rent inline skates or protective gear for $2 per hour plus a $4 fee. Alright, what's on bottom of page 12? Example 2. What is the fixed cost? $4. What is the variable cost? $2, because it's changing every time you plug in for the number of hours. So for 1 hour, what's 4 plus 2 times 1? What do you have to know to do that problem? Just like this last problem. What do you have to know? The order of operations. We're going to be reviewing that tomorrow, okay? So 4 plus 2 times 1 would be 6, and 4 plus 2 times 2 would be 8, and 4 plus 2 times 3 would be 10, okay? Now they say write an expression that represents the cost of renting skates, then write an equation that relates the expression to the total cost of $10, right? So when you've got equal to, what's another little 2-letter word that tells you equal to? There's probably several actually. I was thinking the word is the same as. You've heard things like that. All right, so if I have $4 plus $2 per hour is equal to $10. Will you work that equation? It's a 2-step equation. You guys can work that. Can you work that on your paper now, please? When you solve an equation, it's the opposite of the order of operations. You actually undo addition and subtraction first. 10 minus 4 is 6, and then you undo multiplication and division as it occurs, and so 3 hours, right? A solution is a value of a variable that makes the equation true. Expressions, you can plug in anything you want to. We can make up a table, plug in anything we want to. But for an equation, a linear equation, we have one answer. Let's see what else we want to do here. Get crunched for time a little bit. All right, on page 15, do problems 5 through 7 in your notes. On page 15, do problems 5 through 7 in your notes.